Welcome to Rotary. It's a great day to be a Rotarian. Let's start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Today, I just came from a meeting at the Capper Foundation. You may sit. Change it up. This is part of how we have fun. We do things differently every week, so you don't know what you're doing. Zach was, of course, in charge of part of that program, and he gave a quote from Colin Powell that I thought is worth repeating today. The quote is about kindness. Don't just show kindness in passing or to be courteous, Powell said. Show it in depth, show it with passion, and expect nothing in return. Kindness is not just about being nice. It's about recognizing another human being who deserves care and respect. End of quote. Bob, do we have any guests today? No. No guests today. Thanks for coming. Cup money this month is for the Sandwich Ministry, for Catholic Charities Sandwich Ministry. Supplies for downtown lunch for 200 to 250 people every day. John Wall has set it up so that those of you who would like the convenience of paying for your lunch may do so with your credit card now. The club is credit card capable. He's also invented a new thing that we're going to offer, and that is a prepaid meal card. So if you're a member that's only paying your dues, but you would like the convenience of prepaying for 10 of them and just getting your card punched every week, we can do that too. And you can see John about that. He will activate your punch card with a number and you'll be good to go. Fun Bucks. I have several people that have approached me about Fun Bucks. I know Roger's one of them. Sam, were you another one? And Ann. So whichever one of you jumps up first will be first. You're right. Roger, yours comes later.
Oh, okay. I am really excited today. I'm dressed, I never dress very formally, but I'm much less formally dressed today because I just came from the project I'm going to tell you about. For 2 years, I have been working with the Bishop of the Diocese of Kansas to transform the 2.5 acres between Grace Cathedral and Topeka High into public gardens. When she approached me last September, or 2 years ago in September, I thought her ideas were fully formed and visionary, but would never go. And inside my head, I'm thinking, this is a pipe dream. It's too expensive, you know, all the reasons you think, but I said, it's too big a project for me. So there is a younger, in his 40s, landscape architect from Kansas City, and he and I have worked together along with the bishop and the priest in charge of this project. And The ribbon cutting is a week from Friday. It's at 4:30 on a Friday afternoon, which seems kind of unusual, except it's the diocesan convention, and they have a captive audience of 200 people. But everyone is welcome, and I have offered to give tours to anybody. We are that close from done. We're just polishing. That's what I was doing this morning, and we'll go back to get blown away and do this afternoon. We have a prairie. Admittedly, it's just starting, but it is a full Kansas prairie with grasses and wildflowers. We have a culinary garden that will be used by Topeka High and TCAL for them to grow their vegetables in whatever for their culinary classes. We have a prayer garden, spiritual prayer garden, and maybe the highlight because of a particular item in it. The bishop was very anxious that the diocese do something to honor St. Simon, which was a Black Episcopal church at 7th and Western that in the spirit of the day in 1964 was closed, and their members were told to go to the Cathedral or St. David. So we have an outdoor chapel now that is called the St. Simon's Chapel. It's on the grounds of where the diocese and Grace Cathedral is, but it was given to the Episcopal Church in 1860 something to build the church. And then in the late 1860s, they started a women's college because women couldn't go to college very easily. And two of the original buildings are still on the site that we are using. And I could go on for an hour and a half, but I'm quitting. Please come. You will be amazed at what had been just ground, some junk, some shrubs that didn't look very good, into something that we want to welcome the neighborhood, the downtown, the city, and everyone to use.
Sam, come on up.
Thank you, Steve. My business, helping people move, every so often I get things out of the house that were kind of interesting, and two things were given to me were by former members of this club. I don't know if you have been here long enough to remember Don McRae. Don passed away, I don't know, several years ago. His wife, Mary Alice, just turned 100. I think she's 101 years old and doing pretty well. And anyway, her father, Fred P. Martin Tractor Company, if you've probably heard of that. He was a member of the Ottawa, Kansas Rotary Club in April 1st of 1924. And his family, Doug, found this card, which is his membership card. So it's about a 98-year-old piece of history here. And that was Don's father-in-law, Fred P. Martin. So I got that. Also earlier this year, Charles Jeffress, I don't know how many of you remember Charles. Charles is the nicest, quietest guy you'd ever want to run into. And his wife contracted, I think she had Alzheimer's or something like that. And Charles stayed home, and he didn't stop coming to Rotary to care for his wife. And they were both, I think, about 90. And he just always admired Charles a lot for his contribution to Rotary, being a super nice guy, and then seeing his wife through her final years. And Charles passed away earlier this year, and his family gave him his name, his badge here. So anyway, that's my $5 worth of history for Rotary. So I'm going to give those to the club. I don't know where they're wind up, but it happens every so often. It's pretty cool.
We have, Leanne, sorry.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I wanted to announce that SSC Advisors, where I'm the HR specialist there, we are hosting the Greater Topeka Partnership Business Unwind this coming Tuesday, and I hope to see some of your faces there.
I have a business one. So Starting today through November 4th through 6th, KTWU is having their annual lights camera auction. It's all going to be online. It's our 48th year. So I have a little flyer on the middle of each table. So just go to our website and bid early and bid often. Thank you.
Now, I don't want to miss anybody else. Joni?
I think it was 9 years. Steve loves pushing me around. I think it was 9 years ago, give or take a couple, that the Rotary Foundation awarded a $20,000 grant to the Center for Peace and Justice. At that time, they were a pledging nonprofit organization. With our $20,000, became $40,000, became $60,000. And they have done just phenomenal things since then. They reduced the number of students being kicked out of Topeka High School, just to mention one of many. They had lots of different things. Well, they had a celebration earlier this week, and I asked Ann to come up here to kind of help me explain it. And it was at the Episcopal Church, and it was a most phenomenal experience. It was well integrated. They recognized a number of nonprofits in the city that have done things. And the reason I wanted to share with you is that, you know, we're asked here at Rotary to contribute, whether it's to the polio fund but this is an instance where our money from our foundation has made a huge difference. And I want you to pat yourself on the back and add some money to our community, our Rotary Foundation, so that we can continue to make a difference. Do you want to say anything?
I second everything that Joni said. It was a remarkably glittering evening, and filled with just people who have devoted themselves to the idea of peace and justice. Our money was extremely well spent.
Yeah. The last thing that was so cool about it is here's all this glitzy evening, and the caterers for that were the rescue mission, and the food was wonderful, and the service even better.
Yeah.
So they really integrated their mission into what they were doing. Thank you.
One more try. All right, great. We have a number of service projects coming up. Candy for Trunk or Treat on October 29th. Angel and Susan. Susan, that must be here somewhere because I see the witch is back. So if you have candy, get it to one of those two and make sure we know there's a sign-up sheet on the end of the table there. Cash is good, and I think you probably still need cars with trunks to show up. So they're hoping that 10 of us will be able to have our cars there from 2 to 4. And let's see, Roger, I'm going to get to you. Yes, you're next.
Is this working at all? Yes, when you get close to it. So speakers, when you get up here, kiss the demo. Or unless you're like me, you really project. So on your table, everybody has a placemat, Pints for Polio. If you do a QR code with your phone, it'll take you right to the website. You can sign up, you can pay, bada bing, bada boom, next Thursday night downtown at the Constitution Hall, 5:30 to 8, Pints for Polio. We've got an IPA from the Blind Tiger. We've got their fantastic pale ale. We've got their raspberry wheat beer and a keg of Oktoberfest. So no excuses. Your favorite thing is there. Sign up. There's also a website. If you want to go home, you can type it in the website. And if you don't want to do any of this, you can just go to rotary.org and just make a donation to Pints for Polio itself, and that will still account back to the club. Pints for Polio. Bring your glasses with you next week from past years. Sam. Yeah, you're drinking beer, not giving blood. Yeah. We don't want your blood. We want you to drink the beer. Thank you, everybody.
And I think last on the service project list, but certainly not least, this Saturday at 9 o'clock, we're going to have a Rotary Rubbish Roundup at the Seward Boat Ramp. The Seward Boat Ramp that we adopted a year and a half ago is now, the parking lot is now paved, which if any of you that were there, amazing things have happened to the Seward Boat Ramp since we adopted it. Now, I'm not sure we've had anything to do with that other than along for the ride, but it is now paved. And we're going to do the cleanup there at 9, and then we're all going to jump in and go over to Tecumseh, and we're going to, your Rotary Club is going to serve lunch to 40-some volunteers that are going to assemble at the cellophane plant and somehow get over to a sandbar in the middle of the Kansas River and pull tires and battery cases and everything else that's out there and clean up that piece of the river. And we're going to be serving lunch to all of them. So if you would like to participate in that, just come see me afterwards and I'll get you on the team. We're going this afternoon to buy all that food and get everything set up to go. So come join us. Bob wants me to be sure that I say something that I forget to say every week. Lee has brought vegetables again this week, and they are wonderful. I took a bunch home, and we had a couple of parties since last week and this week, and we've been serving people from all over Northeast Kansas with your produce, and it's fabulous. He says, get it now or it's gone soon. And our speaker today will be introduced by Zach Arns.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Just a couple quick things. Since we have the opportunity, we've been talking about the great things that the Rotary Foundation does. And I would ask, do we have any members of the Rotary Foundation? I know that, that are here that serve. So lots of hands going up. If you are new to our club, the Rotary Foundation is separate from the Rotary Board of Directors. It works very much in concert with one another to promote the ideals of Rotary. And they've done some great work. We heard about one of the announcements of how the stewardship of dollars has caused the Centers for Peace and Justice to flourish and to serve people and to really live out their mission. Todd Payne is the chair of the Rotary Foundation. Todd was going to give the introduction today and was not able to make it as he had a meeting that he needed to be a part of. But I do want to recognize our presenters today, PARS, and we'll talk briefly more about that, were the recipients of our most recent gift from the foundation of $24,000. And so we are pleased, number one, at the membership and the effort of the leaders behind the foundation for making this happen. And then you all who are going to hear about today for the good work that you're doing. I do want to make a couple introductions. There's three representatives here today. Eric Tweedy is the communication specialist and really chief ambassador in a lot of ways. I know Mandy and Haley and the team do it as well. But I was falling in love with the program just in our interactions. And so Eric is here. Mandy and Haley will be speaking on behalf of the organization. Mandy Jasinski is the executive director. She's a graduate of Washburn University with a degree in elementary education. So she's assured us that if the microphone isn't working, she'll use her teacher voice, and we'll take care of that. Also a master's degree in educational administration. She joined PARS, which stands for Prevention and Resiliency Services, to lead that team in May of 2021. And as the executive director, she oversees the organization's day-to-day operations, builds collaborative partnerships with community agencies, and helps guide the strategic planning of PARS' future, among many other tasks. Before joining the PARS team, Mandy served as the Vice President of Operations at Topeka's Boys and Girls Club, and 19 years of her career in the public school system. First as a teacher and then as a building principal. So she brings a lot of experience that's really allowed her to marry her love for education along with her desire to impact her hometown. Haley is the Community Prevention Youth Coordinator. Haley Gill earned her bachelor's in elementary education from K-State and a master's degree in adaptive special education in 2009 and joined PAR's team in July of 2022, so pretty recently. She also worked as a special education teacher in the Topeka Public School System and Shawnee Heights. And so without further ado, let's welcome our speakers and give them a round of applause.
Well, I have to tell you, the way I found out about the Rotary Foundation grant was at a table conference with my mother at her kitchen table on a Sunday afternoon. She pulled up the newspaper article and said, I have to tell you, I've found a grant that PARS needs to apply for. And I'm so grateful for that because without her, I don't know that I would have known about this opportunity or even be here today. So I have to give a little shout out to moms, always looking out for us. And we are so thrilled to be the beneficiary of your foundation grant and hope to make you very, very proud over the coming year with the work that we're doing. So just to tell you a little bit about our organization, like Zach said, I've been with the Prevention and Resiliency Services for about a year and a half. And a lot of people don't necessarily know what we do, but they know parts of our organization. So I'll give you kind of the 20,000 foot view, if you will, and we'll be here for any questions that you might have or any support that we might be able to offer afterwards as well. We are a very small but mighty crew. There are actually 7 of us. We have a part-time office staff, but there is our staff members that work there. We put in a lot of hours because there's only a few of us, but we are very committed to our mission and our goals. We have community prevention consultants that go out into the schools. We have LMSW and soon to be LMAC, no longer temporary, which is Masters of Addictions Counseling. She just passed her test today, so shout out for her. And we have people that go to schools, people that do evaluations, people that work in community safety and prevention. And Eric is our communicator who's always out making connections when I'm sometimes holding down the fort doing some other things. So he's a great communications specialist. Just a little bit about our agency. We've been around for over 55 years in Topeka. We started out as the National Association of on Alcoholism, the Topeka chapter, and it morphed from there and became more of a prevention education agency. These are some of our goals. We really are changing our focus more to youth. That has been something that has really become really prevalent, is that a lot of prevention work in terms of substance use must start early. And so we've really kind of started looking at how can we put prevention education out into our schools, working with small groups of kids, helping families to know what to do, because really so many of us are impacted in one way or another with substance misuse and abuse within families and colleagues, friends, coworkers, that type of thing. And a big part of what we do is we really want to reduce the stigma that's associated with those challenges that so many people do face. So the big work that we do, we are almost in schools every day with prevention education, workshops, working with kids. You can see like a little tab up at the top of Family Feud. Our prevention education person is Lynn Smith. He is always out doing activities and games that are teaching youth about the dangers that substances can do to your body, your mind, your overall well-being. We provide all of those services for free to schools within Shawnee County through funding that's provided through the City of Topeka Alcohol and Drug Tax. We also do workshops for adults as requested. We use a lot of our information from a survey that youth take in the community called the Kansas Communities That Care Survey, which 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th graders participate in and tell us a little bit about what is going on, what their perceptions are of harm, what youth is like, what they're exposed to, that type of thing. And we use that to really tailor our presentations to the specific schools that we go into or communities, that type of thing. We also provide substance misuse evaluations. A lot of times youth are found on campus to have a vape in their possession, or sometimes they've used substances before they went to school, or there's reports of use. And often what happens is the school refers the family to our agency. And again, if they're from a Shawnee County school and they're referred to us by the school or the court services, we provide evaluation services for free for them. And basically, they go through the evaluation with our social worker, and it's determined whether that young person might need additional treatment, whether that's speaking with a counselor or therapist, if it's attending an outpatient substance use, just lost my train of thought, substance use group, or if they may even need to have some inpatient services. And we are basically their referral agency. We also sometimes offer case management because sometimes those lines to get into services are long and we do not have enough providers. And so in the meantime, we want to make sure that we're keeping track and helping support families that may be in chaos or they're struggling a bit with the substances that are being used in their home. We also provide adult evaluations for a fee. Oftentimes people are referred to our agency to do that. And we provide alcohol and drug information school, which is something that's required for diversion for folks that may be working through the court system. Finally, we operate Safe Streets, which is an organization that many of you, or program that many of you have probably thought about. It is a program under our agency where we operate the Safe Streets Coalition. We're doing quarterly education events now. As a part of that, we work with neighborhoods for Neighborhood Watch. We put on National Night Out event. And soon we have safe property management training coming up where we work with landlords on just things that they need to know to make sure that they're supporting their tenants and their properties in the way that they need to. We are highly supported by grant work, and the foundation grant that we received from the Rotary Foundation is one of those grants. And as we were a recipient of that, we were able to bring on Haley Gill, who is a former teacher in our community. And this grant helped pay for a portion of her salary in the work that she's doing. So I'm going to let her come on up and tell you a little bit about that project and what it looks like.
Thank you, Mandy. So I started with PARS at the very end of July, right when school was starting. And so I have been able to work with some students at Highland Park High School in their Scott Movement Club, which is a club that's kind of made up of kids that really want to make a difference in their school. And so I have met with the club a couple times as well as their sponsor. And right now they are in the process of creating some social media for us. So one of the things that this grant was to do was to educate youth about substance use and the prevention. And so these students are taking the information that I have provided them about how substances can affect them academically, physically, socially, and take that and create social media that we can then put out on our social media site to educate more families, to educate youth about what is happening in Shawnee County. And we really try to gear it toward things that we're seeing in Shawnee County. We know that in Shawnee County, alcohol, vaping, and prescription drug use is the three major areas that our students here are partaking in. And the average age of starting to vape is 13. And so we have to get these kids when they are young. And so two students at Highland Park have really grabbed a hold of this, and one is really working on some social media, and the other is creating a presentation that she wants to then take to the elementary and middle schools that feed into Highland Park High School. And so by December, before they go on winter break, they're going to deliver some things to me, and I've just kind of been there to give them information and guide them and let them have liberty in developing whatever they feel is going to reach the youth of Shawnee County. Because I don't know what that is. You know, I'm not that age anymore. I like to think it, but I'm not. We will be meeting with Topeka High in November in hopes that they will start doing the exact same things at Highland Park High School. The last thing I did not put up here, but I wanted to mention, is a group that we were asked to do at Robinson Middle School. And it's kind of a complete opposite of Topeka High, or Highland Park, because the group that we work with at Robinson Middle School are students that have been caught vaping, selling marijuana, using marijuana. So Lynn, who also does prevention education with me, and our social worker, we are going in and we are teaching these young students about the risks that they're taking at such a young age. You know, your brain is not fully developed until you are 25 years old. And putting these substances into your body at such a young age, you're really creating some things that you might not ever overcome that could stunt that growth of your brain. So we're teaching these kids to really understand what they're doing in hopes that if they decide to use again, they will think twice. Or if they encounter a friend that's thinking about using for the first time, they can share information with them on why they shouldn't. And so the principal at Robinson Middle School has been outstanding in understanding that he's not going to be able to suspend his way out of this problem, and we have to educate these children on why this is not healthy for them and why it's so important to make other choices. So that is another area of work that it's kind of the opposite area of Highland Park, using kids that have been using substances already and teaching them and educating them in hopes that they will choose not to and educate others. So that is what I do mainly for the grant project. But also we want to say, please follow us on social media. Eric has done an amazing job of getting our social media going, and really people out there following it and looking at what we are doing, because we are doing some really great things in the community. And there's always an opportunity to support PARS. We are looking actually for people to join our board. We have people coming off of our board. And so we're always looking for people to join our board. We also run a substance misuse task force from out of Prevention and Resiliency Services. And this task force is always needing other community members to be a part of it. We're just trying to educate Shawnee County on the use of substances and how we can decrease that. We work with state agencies to get information just based on Shawnee County in the use of substances in our area, where they're frequently used, schools that are in the areas that they're frequently used, and then hoping that we can get into these areas and provide these individuals with resources and information to, if they choose to go to treatment or seek out a resource, they have them. So that is kind of one of the jobs of Substance Misuse Task Force. And a really easy way you could always support PARS is by, if you're at Amazon, you can go to Amazon Smile and choose us to, you know, just like your Dillon's points or Amazon points. And we also are in the Dillon's Community Rewards. So those are just some simple ways that if you are looking for an organization that you'd like to support, we would love to have it. But if you're interested in joining our board or Substance Misuse Task Force, please reach out to any of us and we'd be happy to talk to you about it. Do you have any questions about what we do at PARS or anything? Zach?
Just kind of reading, let's say based on need, money is not, where can PARS be? We need to grow, community, 5 years. What can the future be?
Well, I would say that we would love to continue to grow our team, and in order for us to be able to do more prevention education, I think the need is there. We run into some capacity issues with a small team of 6, but we have grown. Like even in this year and a half, we went from 4 employees to 6.5-ish. We really want to be on the forefront in terms of prevention education. We envision that doing a lot of work with opioids and talking about overdose and fentanyl and substances that are in our community, just like other communities across America. We're not immune to that. We just really want to make sure that we have an informed populace and we're continuing to reduce the impact of substance use on people in our community. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, either one. Sure. We do a number of things. When we've had people come in for evaluation, we ask them to complete a survey on their services and how happy they are with those. When we're working with youth in the schools, what we have done are like a pre and post assessment to determine the growth that the youth are indicating from knowledge pre and then post. We're running into some challenges now with some new legislation regarding surveys and permission and that type of thing. So we're going to have to be thinking a little bit more creatively in terms of what that looks like, but that is how we've typically done it in the past. We're always seeking feedback from any group that we're working with, any presentation that we are doing. We always want that feedback so that we can work on improving what we're sharing with everyone. Yeah, and the Kansas Communities That Care survey is another one of those surveys that's also being impacted, unfortunately. But it is definitely a way that drives our education, just with that information that we have.
I saw a nice, very interesting presentation on the senior around senior school board having been focused on nursing. I was stunned that nursing is not immediately available from every place going to
You have just hit the nail on the head. That is actually one of our major goals for the next year, is to make sure that Narcan is in all of our schools. We actually had the nurse reach out to us, Jenny Crowell, who is, man, that is a proactive woman getting that done. And thank you to the Siemens School Board for making that a priority. They're running into some challenges in terms of having it in the schools, is my understanding, because of it needing to be prescribed. I'm not exactly familiar with that having to be the case, because most people can obtain that. So we're seeking out some more information to try to help gauge that. It should be in every school. my communication with Jenny yesterday was, it's like a Band-Aid. It needs to be everywhere we go. There needs to be a first aid kit with Narcan in it. In any facility that we go to, that type of thing. We are running into some challenges, to be completely forthright with you, in Kansas. It's a little tighter held in terms of Narcan being handed out freely. We were just at a training a couple weeks ago, and in Missouri, anybody anywhere can get Narcan pretty much just readily. And we did have DECA in our community that was giving it out, but their resources were limited and funding ran out. However, we're hoping with the new opioid settlement money that's come down that we will be able to start getting some of that out more readily available in all of our communities. I know even our Topeka Police Department has went through DECA to be able to get some more Narcan in their hands. So it's definitely work that we have to be doing at probably the policy level and government level in terms of making it more known what an impact it can be, that it's not going to hurt people, but it can save people, which we don't want to lose any more lives. Yes, we don't want anybody to die. And so, we should have it in every first aid kit that's out there. That's all. Questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you for that timely program. We will be donating a book to the Ross Elementary Library in your honor as speakers today. I forgot to give the mic to Marie earlier. Marie sent out an email this week. She and her team of volunteers are going to be delivering our coats and clothing and other items for the professional closet at the high school level and at the elementary level, the clothes and other things that teachers have told us those kids need. That's going to be 10 o'clock on Monday and Tuesday. There is a sign-up email out there. If you can't figure that out, just let Marie know, and she'll get you signed up. Let's see. Just a reminder that thank you to the zoo for giving us real table service. You are welcome to take your table service that you've used and put it in a tray as you leave. That's a nice way to say thank you. Let's see. If you would like to sign up for a 10 meal card in advance, John is ready to take your money. And next week, our program is at the Capper Foundation, not here at the zoo. The zoo has another event. We'll be at the Capper Foundation. It will be our Polio Plus program. We'll be talking about polio at lunch and at the Constitution Hall later in the day. If you would like to support the Capper Foundation, you could bring a bottle of wine or bottle of whiskey for their event next spring. They're asking it to be as close to $40 as you can, but that would support the Capper Foundation. I'll be bringing mine that I forgot to take to the event today. I think, raise your hand if I forgot to give you your announcement. I've got a running list here. Okay, let's stand with and end with the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all? Have a great week.